the quarterback. One thing back to the college football playoff, then we'll break. We'll come back with a couple of other notes as well. And I wanted to get a hold of Colt Barber because there might be some news he might have for us here in a minute on Baylor football. I'm not sure yet. Here's the part about the playoff being expanded to 12, and I want to be all-pro fan here. I get the money. I understand all of it. I get the fact I'm excited because of the expansion, whether you liked it at 8 or 4 or none or now 12. The first round in 24 will take place the week ending Saturday, December 21st at either the home field of the higher-seeded team or another site designated by the higher-seeded institution. So 5 and 12 would play wherever 5 wanted to, and down on. What I want to see happen, I do too. I think for the fans' sake, for the wallet's sake, I understand corporate America, I understand sponsorships. I don't care how big a school or how big of an enrollment, how big your fan base or donors are, to ask those people, whoever you are or they are, to go play a game on the road would be ludicrous. I don't care how much money anyone has. So I love the fact they're going to play the first round at somebody's home site or they choose a place. I wish they would do that in the next round too, because there are just some fan bases that don't have that many fans, even if they're passionate. And there's also some people that just don't have that kind of money to maybe have to go to Phoenix or to go to Atlanta or to go to New Orleans or somewhere like that and then turn around and yet do it again.
I think that's especially important. I'll rewind and bring back a little anecdote from years ago at this point when the college football playoff first started. An unnamed former player in the Big 12, I remember him telling me after he had spoken to some people involved with the college football playoff, talking about how Baylor, because they were red hot at the time, would never get in the CFP because they couldn't fill the stadiums the way that they feel like Jerry's World, the way that Ohio State could. And I remember thinking at the time, like, oh, that seems kind of silly. And I've learned along the way, like, no, I absolutely believe that now at this point. So, yeah, if you're a smaller school, especially with 12 teams, there's going to be smaller schools that get in that only have 50,000 seat stadiums. I think this is great because, yeah, you're probably not going to, and even the big schools aren't going to have fan bases. They're going to have people that can just go to, hey, we're playing in New Orleans this weekend, and then we're playing in Los Angeles, and then we're going to be up in Chicago, and then we're going to, like that's asking a lot of even folks with cash to be able to pull that off. So I think that's brilliant. And I just think atmospherically.
And because it's also a quick turnaround, too.
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround. And I also think just atmospherically, I mean, environmentally, that's going to be a way cooler scene to see, like a first-round playoff game, Utah hosting like TCU and doing it at their place rather than doing it at like Pasadena. Yeah, I'm all for that. Absolutely. And that's good for the local economies. It's good for the schools that will be hosting. That's an incentive as well. And I'll just be curious in the matchups where they actually decide like, no, let's go neutral site. Maybe, if you get a Georgia versus a Clemson or something, you decide to do that. I don't know what would lead to that ultimately, but I do like that home field aspect of this. And I know some people feel like the first 2 rounds, I think Joel Klatt I saw was like, but you're asking, I think, now too much of the committee. I don't think they're going to give in on 2 rounds.
No, because then you've got to figure out
how many rounds are going to be.
You'd have, 4, right?
Yeah, you'd have 4, then you'd have the quarters, then the semis and the championship. I don't think it's asking too much for the first 2 rounds, but I right now am thrilled that they're even doing 8 to 12, which is 12, and now that they're going to play the first round at home sites.
If they did the first 2 rounds at home sites, what you'd probably be asking the Bowls to do is you're going to be in a rotation where it's you 4 this year, it's the next 4 the other,
They already do that.
Yeah, they already do. Like they're in a rotation of that. Well, they wouldn't have a playoff game. They just have a regular old bowl game, which now would be lesser teams because they're not in the playoffs.
The first ever national championship with a 12-team playoff will be in Atlanta, Georgia, January 20th of 2025. The next year, it will be in Miami. All right.